in the back of Blackhawks and in the back of Chinooks, it's so fucking loud. There is no conversation.
Yeah, I would assume
And
that.
they have a whiteboard that we will like write
To
notes
communicate
down
on?
and pass around.
Jeez.
That's why when you watch like Commando, you know, they're like having conversations on the way in, and it's like, nope, that's absolute bullshit. But no, that's Hollywood for you. So
That's where the stoicism starts.
that's right. So I ambush you guys. We're recording now.
Nice.
Terrific.
And
good.
that's how I do it, because sometimes people are like, I'm really nervous to get the show started. Not that anybody.
I don't think we'll be nervous. Us four.
No.
Yeah, but we're at Deer Camp 2023. We're already having some technical difficulties. So when this gets to 45 minutes, we're going to pause this. Actually, 40. Let's do it at 40 just to be sure.
Sure.
And then we're going to have to do it in 2 parts. But
It
your,
is a
your listeners will
post-full
have
moon.
no idea, so I shouldn't even fucking mention that. So first, I just want to say thank you for having us back out.
Absolutely, guys. Zach.
In my mind, Deer Camp
Greg.
is a tradition for the rest of my life.
Yes.
But an imperative part of that is actually continuously being invited out here. So
Continuously invited. As of right now, it's printed,
roger
recorded.
that.
Write it down.
And
Yep.
we also are joined by Steve Slaby today, who was with us last year but had to bounce before we recorded the episode.
Yeah, buddy. Some will even pronounce it slobby.
Slabby. Sometimes I say it with a V.
It all works.
Don't tell me how to say your name.
Yeah, right. Sorry. what was I thinking?
But no, I mean, so we have one more day of hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we did it on the last day, and that was just a little much to wrap up everything.
It was a little intense.
It was.
Zach
and
and I and you were all sitting around the counter, and that was good grammar, by the way.
we,
Yeah, we were smoked.
yeah, fucking smoked. And we decided we'll do it a day early. And I've been happy with this trip. You know, we got one deer.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers may not be where we thought they were going to be. I think everybody thinks they're going to get a big buck.
Well, we've seen so many deer, like you would kind of just think, like it's not going to be that hard to shoot 3 or 4 deer. But
Yeah, but guess what?
man, the archery game that's a difficult thing.
No, I have a fucking, I just have a newfound respect for archery. Like, I mean, I hunted out here last year. I got a feel for it. But, dude, we've been hunting hard.
A lot of hours in the stand. This
Not
fella right
as hard
here.
as Zach.
Yeah.
Zach has hunted, he has done 3 12-hour sits in the last 3 days. And you know what? Let's just open up the show with that.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this as I was sitting in the stand today. It's 30 degrees out.
Mm-hmm.
My fingers stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking...
Toes are
Yeah,
numb.
bro. I got those new Walmart boots, though. So the toes are okay
Yeah,
now.
They're pretty sweet.
But fucking, I'm shivering. It's not the most comfortable position you've ever been in, right? And I thought, like, I've done a lot of hard shit in my life. Climbing mountains, fighting, like the shit I did in the military. Sits are not easy. That is not a good way to describe them. Because, like, you hear hunters that are spot and stock, and they're like, oh, you hunt from the trees. It's like, dude, go sit in a tree for 6 hours in 30 degrees and tell me it's easy. Because it's not.
It's physically difficult to some extent, but I think mentally it's more challenging than
Yeah,
the
100%.
physical part.
Agreed. Yeah.
You know, especially if you're not seeing a lot of activity, you're sitting up there and you're just trying to talk yourself into one more hour or a half an hour or 45 minutes, whatever your time chunk is. And then it's like, you get there and you're like, okay, am I getting down or am I staying? And that's always the
and
game.
It's
for me.
easy if it's sunny and 50 degrees.
Right.
But
Yeah.
man, we've had, what was it, the first 2 full days? Nothing but rain.
Piss and rain.
Wind. Just brutal sitting out there. We're sitting under tree umbrellas. We got our, rain gear on. It's like, oh man, it's brutal. Now these last couple of days have been 22 degrees and frosty, and it's hard to sit in that all day.
Dude, it's brutal.
It is.
Especially like Washington has a reputation for just being fucking rainy, but the actual temperatures are usually pretty mild.
Like 48, 50, 55.
Yeah, it's like that's pretty much our winter temperatures. You get a few weeks here and there where it dips down kind of low, but it's rare to get in the 20s. And it was in the 20s today, So
Right.
to go outside and sit in it all day,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, fuck, dude.
It's a thing, man. It's a thing. As Mr. Slaby says all the time, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad gear.
Just bad gear.
I thought I
laugh.
had nice gear.
You got pretty nice gear, yeah. I laugh only because like the first 2 days we knew, like we were watching the forecast and it's going to be rain. And it was supposed to be worse than what we got. It was supposed to be drenching, downpour,
torrential.
3 inches in, a couple hours. And Chad and I were like, man, we better get some tree umbrellas up. And they're like, we're from Seattle. It rains all the time. We're not worried about it.
We had
Do the deer
ground
move?
blinds
Do the
set
deer move in the
down.
rain?
Depends.
Yeah.
Not, I would say my personal experience has been limited.
Okay.
If it's rut, like really heavy rut, they will.
They don't give a
They'll
fuck.
be moving, they'll be cruising. But if it, like the time frame that you guys came into camp and that weather that was here, yeah, it can be pretty gnarly and pretty slow for them to move.
You know
would you say? Steve?
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously the changes is what you're looking for.
Right.
When it goes from that rainy, warm, and we had warm the first couple of days where I don't even remember exactly, but it was certainly wasn't in the 20s or 30s.
60s, mid 60s.
Yep, 61, 62 probably in rain. And then we're just watching the forecast go to, all right, now it's going to get dry, it's going to get cold, it's going to get crisp, and it just turns them on. Just the deer just change, which I think we found to be true.
Yeah. And it's like with a bow, it doesning matter if shit changes or not. It's like
Right.
the stars still have to align, I think I've said it like 5 times this trip. It's like if we're rifle hunting, all 5 of my deer tags would be filled by now.
Yeah.
And that's probably true with everybody in the room.
Yeah. That's absolutely the truth. And then I would say this too, like in the spirit of like what we talked about, mental toughness, sitting in a stand. You guys did it last year. Zach's had a lot of hunting experience out west. What Steve and I know, and we've been trying to not that we have to keep you guys motivated, but we knew what was coming as we sit here on Monday night, October 30th. As the days progressed in this trip for you guys versus last year, we knew that every single day, every hour of the day from Friday, Saturday, Sunday into today, the weather was getting cooler and better. The deer were going to be more aggressive and starting to hit scrape. So it's kind of like when you take your kids to like some sort of trip or amusement park, or I don't know if that's a good analogy, but like you already know what's about to happen and
So you
they
got to keep
don't.
them motivated.
Yeah, and you gotta have to kind of keep their head in the game a little bit. Not that you guys are like, pouty or anything like that, but like what we have seen in the last 24 to 36 hours with the deer activity has definitely been something that we were expecting to happen,
sure.
just from the calendar and experience of hunting this time of year. So
I've been
on
pouty.
a whitetail
I've been
plot
pouty
like
a
this.
couple times,
Have you?
but I keep pouty as an inside thought.
Yeah, you're internalizing your poutiness.
Yeah, dude, everybody should internalize their poutiness because what's the point? Like Chad and I sat together for 4 hours tonight or something. There's no point for me to look at you and go like, bro, my fingers are stinging.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Everybody's are.
Everybody's are.
Your toes are stinging.
We don't care.
Yeah.
Just, and so it's
I would
like,
have been like, yeah, Greg, that's what's supposed to happen.
Welcome to
would you have used that gay voice?
I don't know. Well, I was trying to be quiet, like I was in the stand, so we didn't.
Oh, I
interrupt the
thought you were
deer.
being feminine because like
No.
If I were to say something like that, then the conversation goes gay after that.
Oh no. I was just thinking more like putting
like, no,
myself
no.
in this because you told me I couldn't talk in the tree, which I knew that was you were like qualifying when we were walking.
Man,
out
I
there.
was curious. I hate to interrupt,
Yeah,
but I
no.
was curious.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a double
yeah.
sit with these guys.
Oh no, this was epic.
Yeah,
This
they're
was
not going
epic.
to see a
like,
deer.
Bro,
I'm-
we texted a couple
You guys
times.
saw
yeah.
a bunch of deer. Well, yeah, you have
and
to.
that's it. And the only time the first time you talked was literally like 3 hours in, and I think you said wait for the buck. That's what I thought you said
Yes.
because we had a doe run by, and again I could have shot the doe, but I would have had to been pretty quick on the trigger. And then I thought I heard you say wait for the buck, and that was kind of my plan anyways.
Right.
Because I already shot a small deer today or
Right.
this trip,
Yep.
and now I kind of want the big one. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, tomorrow anything's getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
Anything on, I was going to say anything on 4 legs, but I might see that collared wolf. I'm not shooting him.
Right. Right.
Or so we
The
thought.
neighbor's dog.
I was just saying, what
Whatever.
was that, Zach? Was that a collared wolf? So he texted to the group, you guys ever seen a collared coyote? And I was like, I don't think they do that in Wisconsin. Maybe they do, but not that I'm aware of for research.
Not that I've seen.
Chad was like, well, I think they do collar some wolves, but it's so much further north than here. And we didn't see it, so I'm like, oh, what the heck he saw?
Right.
And then as he described it, I thought, oh, yeah, one of the neighbors has a dog that's like, it looks like
Orange
I don't know
collar.
what it is,
Yeah.
Siberian Husky or something. Yeah.
At least I'm actually hoping that's the case, because if we have wolves here, we're going to be dealing with some serious business.
We got some problems.
We got some problems.
So one thing I wanted to talk about is we'll talk about the deer that I killed, but when I posted it, what do you think some people are saying about that deer on Instagram?
Well, I would surmise that the number one response that you probably get with a deer like that is it's small.
Well,
it's
the
tiny.
number one response was people saying, congratulations.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's good.
Killing an animal with a bow is hard no matter what size it is.
Sure.
But then there are some, that's a small deer.
Right.
And I was actually thinking about that because I don't really have hunting ethics other than what I learned in this camp. You're my mentor.
We're your
You're my
ethical-
mentor.
I was really curious to see what word was going to come out
Mentors.
there.
Yeah, you're my mentors
Okay,
when it comes
yeah.
to hunting, at least big game hunting.
Right.
And, we talked about it last year. Like, everybody wants that fucking, and as we sit in the cabin right now, there's fucking mounted bucks on every corner of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. That's cool. But then, like, what's the foundational reason we're hunting is to fucking eat.
Meat.
Right? And not only to eat meat, because, like, the truth is, yeah, I could go to the fucking grocery store and buy whatever I need.
Right.
I don't need to hunt to survive. But there may be a time where we do need to hunt to survive. And all the little things that you guys have showed me over the last week is what I'm here for. And learning how to skin, learning how to gut, learning how to, quarter and debone. And, like, we went through the whole process.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the necessary skill to take away from what you gather being a hunter. And for me, it doesn't matter what size the fucking deer is. I'm here for a lesson.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, I mean, fucking Rogan and Cam Hanes say it all the time. It's like, some deers die by arrows and other deers die by freezing to death and getting ripped apart by a pack of coyotes. So I know humans are really unethical, but Mother Nature's just equally unethical.
Right. It's as hard. It's probably more severely harsh than what we actually can do.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for
Slaby.
Slaby to kind of jump in here, Mr.
And again,
Slaby.
the one who cooks a lot of the camp meals and, is super stoked about the food that we get and all that stuff. But I guess my take was, you were talking about, well, a lot of guys just want to shoot the big bucks and, not shoot does or smaller deer, whatever. And yeah, you can just go to the store and buy meat, but you can't buy what we had for that meal that day after you shot that deer.
That's true.
We took a chunk of that backstrap, the loin, and Chad did a little bit of seasoning, cooked it on the grill. It was literally fresh, never frozen, which is kind of one of my brother Scott and I's little saying about wild game.
I'm glad you said that because that phrase was used often this trip.
Fresh, never frozen. I mean, you literally can't buy that meal that we had that night. And you guys both, like Zach and Greg both were like, oh man, that was amazing. And it was.
It was fucking delicious.
It was. It was venison that had just been shot the day before. You can't get that in the store. You can't buy it. So you have to shoot a deer in order to be able to do that sort of a meal. So I don't know. Ethics are obviously a big topic and a big question, but I've gone full circle on the whole, just shoot mature deer, shoot big bucks or shoot, does that are alone, don't have fawns, whatever. But man, we're out here to hunt to fill the freezer full of good food, good, clean meat, which is what we did. You shot a great deer. Yeah, it was a young deer. It was a great deer. There's tons of deer on the property. I mean, we've all seen how many deer each day, each sit that we've had.
And I don't remember if it was you or Chad that said the other day that the neighbor counted 91 deer in his field.
Right, yeah, up on Zeke's.
That's right. Our neighbors.
And it's like, okay, not only is there the, people want to attach ethics to the animal's life and like, what, if it's young or if it's a girl, like whatever, right?
Right. The individual deer's life, but not like maybe the whole herd health. Or
but that's the thing, the herd
carrying
health
capacity of the land or the...
Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard deer populations in America are higher right now than ever.
Oh, I would agree.
Even
Yeah, for sure.
more than like literally like
Oh, like in 1900,
hundreds of years
for
ago.
sure. There's
Right now.
way more deer now.
And like as the predator populations decline, and deer can thrive in like fairly urban environments, and then you start getting disease. And like you were talking about, like culling the herds is something that people are calling for right now. That's why, I mean, when I bought my fucking license to come out here last year, it's like 5 deer.
Yeah, they give you 5 tags for. Yeah, what'd you guys get this year?
5. I got 5
You
again.
got five again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the southern farmland zone in this area in Vernon County, so the deer density here is pretty high. So they're the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources. Yeah, good.
Nothing. Yeah, I hit my microphone. My bad.
At least you didn't hit it with your mustache.
We're rookies, rookie podcasters. They are promoting the harvest of animals for multiple reasons. It's the health of the herd. It's also for automobile accidents. There's a lot of money that goes out that gets shuffled around with that. And so just in general, it's we need to harvest. Hunting is a huge part of management of the herd in our state. So
Well, and for anyone that's out there's listening that's like, I can't believe you shot a young, small deer. The truth is, I didn't really know what I shot.
you shot a deer.
It was a deer.
It's
Unless
a deer.
it's standing by
And this
two
is,
other deer that are bigger.
and this
How
is
do you know?
why, because and this story's kind of
Hold on,
interesting.
though, before you go on from there, because there's going to be people that heard what you just said, and they're going to be like, dude, don't you know what your target is?
You should know.
And you should know.
No,
and
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
I teach.
So you were-
I teach the fucking fundamentals.
Yeah, you
safety
knew it
of
was
firearms.
a deer.
right.
Yeah.
It was
I'm
fucking.
just clarifying
yeah.
because that's not what you were implying.
No,
You were-
of course not. I was. It was literally so fast.
Right.
And so I'll tell the story. But one thing that I find interesting about hunting, and I make correlations to jiu-jitsu in literally everything that I fucking do because jiu-jitsu is my life. But one thing, like me being like a good black belt in jiu-jitsu, I feel like my knowledge is 1 5-gallon bucket out of the entire ocean. It's literally so vast and so endless that you can never fully comprehend what jiu-jitsu is in its entirety. It's not humanly possible. And watching you guys as seasoned hunters, because you're both, you're 50 this year,
Yes, sir.
and you guys have both been hunting since you were 12 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I started bow hunting when I was like 11-ish.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying I'm 52,
I think I
so I
started going
started
hunting with my dad when I was
Yep.
like 5 or 6.
gun
You
deer
probably
hunting
did the
at
same.
12, archery at probably 14.
So, I mean, you guys are high-level black belts in the world of hunting. But both you guys...
I suppose time-wise, yeah, experience-wise.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And but both you guys are open to learning constantly,
Oh, yes.
you know? And one thing you said to me, Steve, you said, "Man, I didn't think about walking with my release on like you've been doing."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, yes. Certainly out west or in different circumstances.
Yeah,
but in and out of stands, the way we've been doing it, yeah, not really. I mean, especially coming out. You know?
And that's like, to me, that is like, you're always open to new knowledge and new ways of doing
Sure,
things.
any little thing, yeah.
You know? And so what ended up happening was I was walking into my stand,
Your favorite stand ever?
my favorite stand ever, and a big doe like leaped in front of me, and she was there for enough seconds that I could have got a shot off on her.
Had
everything been ready.
Yeah, of course.
And then she was gone. And I was like, well, fuck, man.
Not gonna let that happen again.
We'd have a dead deer if another deer jumped in front of me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to start when I'm walking to and from the cabin. I'm just going to have an arrow knocked, my release attached, and we'll just be ready to go. And then sure as shit, walking out, I didn't get, I mean, what was that, 70 yards from the stand? And a deer jumped right in front of me. And it was literally like a ready up drill. It was just like, deer. And Steve said it was a perfectly placed shot. And it was.
It really was.
You
And
could not have, and I don't know if some of you folks will see the video or whatever that I shot. It was super cool. It was like I got a video like in the moment when. Anyway, I'm not going to finish your story for you, but we looked at that deer, and you could not have walked up to that deer and stuck an arrow in it in a more perfect place than where Greg hit that deer. What we call kind of the crease, like right behind the front shoulder. That is where the heart and lungs reside. It was quartered away, so it literally just, that deer was dead standing there. So,
and dude, like I've shot guns enough that when I raise a gun and fire it, even without looking at the target, I have a pretty good idea of, was that a good shot or was that not a good shot?
yeah, you can just feel it. You know,
feel it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But I'm not there with archery yet. And so like I knew it hit because I heard that thud, right? And then I went and checked the arrow and it was covered in blood, and I was like, and it was
And
covered
the arrow was
in
stuck
blood.
in the ground.
Yeah.
Yep, passed through,
And
covered
then
in bright red blood.
Zach walked up, and right off of the trail was like arterial bleed, big time bleeding, and we found him less than 30 yards from the trail.
Which, that right there, with anybody making comments about whatever, right? You took that deer out, you killed it it was dead within probably 30 seconds.
Minute, yeah.
And you did what you were supposed to do. You pulled back, you aimed, you shot it, you made a great shot, and it was expired.
I think
that is the best scenario for archery.
Yeah.
The very best.
The goal.
Yeah.
I bet people that like frown on that are probably rifle hunters.
Possibly.
You know?
But you can shoot a deer with a rifle and it can run, 500
crossbow
yards.
hunters.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
Crossgun.
crossbow hunters are archers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Steve?
Yeah, I mean they're hunters.
It's sort of a combination between the two.
Yes.
Well, okay.
Oh, that's a very different answer.
Man,
That was like a.
Hey,
You brought up a topic that a lot of archers are going to want to tackle head on. And
I like
let
how
me
Greg
say-
just took out
I know,
the
dude,
grenade
he's like,
and
"Here it
just
is."
pulled the pin and laid it on the table.
I'm going to
That was
drop.
great.
I'm going to drop this
listen,
and let you bow hunters talk about it.
I brought up crossbow, and you actually said
Did I hem and haw?
save it for the podcast.
All right.
I think you said save an hour of the
Oh
podcast
shit! I don't know if
For
we
the-
have that much time
for the crossbow discussion.
No, here's my take. If you wanted, honestly, on crossbows, I absolutely love crossbows. They're super deadly, super accurate. I support any method, any way that hunters can harvest, especially efficiently. Obviously
Humanely.
legally, humanely, and I think a crossbow is near the top of that. They're awesome. If you've never shot crossbow, man, they're super accurate. You put a scope on it with crosshairs, it's like shooting a rifle. My only, and I'm gonna get some flack for this, but my only
What's your handle?
gripe with crossbow hunters is when they refer to themselves as bow hunters. You're not a bow hunter if you're shooting a deer with a crossbow. You're
Yeah.
a crossbow hunter. And there's a huge difference. Huge difference.
Mm-hmm. One being that you have, just like
That
you
don't
walking,
have to draw back your bow.
You're walking out of your stand. You have your release on. You drew back at whatever distance you were at.
Without them
Without
seeing
that deer
you,
detecting
them
you.
busting them. Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Granted, you shot the dumbest deer in the woods, but that's cool.
It is. Yeah, he was not smart.
Well, I'm still trying to shoot the smartest here.
That's right. I mean, that's always like a nubby buck is always like, oh, it's the dumbest deer in the woods, and they're lost. They're just lost little dudes trying to figure out their little pecking order.
Well,
way.
the fucked up thing was he wasn't lost. He was still with mama.
She was smart enough to run away.
She probably ran away, and she's like, thank goodness
Finally
that guy
rid
took
of
him
him.
off my hands. I had to wean 2 of these things. There's like 94 more of us over here on the other side.
Dude, it's pretty interesting. I was thinking about this today. With the way that like the government wants to ruin everything, the fact that the archery season coincides with the rut is pretty special.
Oh,
It
it's
is.
wonderful. And
There's really no other way to do it, right?
Well,
I mean,
some states coincide it with their rifle season, like Minnesota. You can absolutely hunt the peak of the rut with your rifle in Minnesota, which, for Minnesota gun hunters, that's
November
wonderful.
10th, I
As
think?
Wisconsin
November
guys, we always thought we were super jealous. Like, dang, we can only hunt the rut with our bow. So you see all these bucks cruising and chasing does and doing all the stuff that deer do in the fall, and you still got to get them within 20 yards of your stand. Where in Minnesota, you're like, it's on with your shotgun or your rifle.
I'm just surprised that hunting season is during the rut.
I think
Because you would think like that's when they're breeding.
Oh, right,
Right.
close it down. Kind of like they do kind of do that for elk, don't they, Zach? I mean, out west they sort of do a early, like the archery is from, whatever it is, September
First.
basically the month of September. And then they kind of just close the season. Like in Colorado, you can't hunt rifle or bow until again like October 15th or whatever it is.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job of that in Washington at least, and I mean that's the only state I'm familiar elk hunting in, and they do a good job of that in the rifle season. I wish it was a little longer, just because it's a lot easier to find that unicorn of a spike, which is all you can shoot in Washington in most units, and they only open rifle season for like 10 days.
Okay, so you can hunt the rut though with your rifle at some point at least.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I'm not super educated on all of it. It's still my first year of hunting elk.
Right.
It's all a learning experience to me. But from next weekend, which will be what are the dates next weekend? That's going to be the last,
like 5th and 6th of November. I
Yeah.
think.
That's what the ending of rifle season will be for elk. And you can only shoot a true spike with your rifle in most units in Washington.
Well, the rut's got to be over by then, doesn't it? Out west?
I
By the first
don't
week of
know.
November?
So we're not a hunting podcast.
Right.
So I guess someone unpack the rut. Because some people don't even know what the fuck we're talking about.
That is a very good point. Steve-O, would you like to take it down?
The rut, the breeding season for animals. So I don't know how that ever came to be a term, but we call it the rut.
Mm-hmm.
That is when the bucks are chasing the does to try to breed the does so that they have fawns again in April and May. So it's when they're chasing, and
It's the
bucks,
first 2 weeks of November, typically.
Yeah, end of. Yeah,
Are we in the rut right now, officially?
I still
We are
call
in
this
the-
pre-rut.
I would say after what we observed this evening, Greg, in our area of hunting, we are in the just starting the chasing phase of the rut. So there's multiple
still
phases of
technically
the
what
rut.
I would call pre-rut. I mean, they're
pre-rut.
still making ground scrapes, scent markers. They're rubbing up trees. They're sparring. The bucks are fighting. The rut to me is when they actually are breeding the does,
Mhm.
Okay.
which that won't happen for 10
Probably
days,
another,
almost 2
probably
weeks.
another 7 or 8, 10 days.
Yeah. But the pre-rut is fun because you can call, a little bit of bleat, a little bit of grunt, and you can
Some
actually
rattling.
rattling antlers. You can call bucks into you during the rut, during the actual breeding phase. They're just chasing does that you're not going to call.
So
them.
they don't. Oh, they don't give a fuck about you trying to.
Not a whole lot, especially if there's a doe around.
The
So-
pre-rut is like downtown, any given city on a Friday night when everybody's hanging out at the bars before the hookup begins. That's the pre-rut.
Got it, dude.
And then the actual.
And sometimes the rut
Evening
happens
of-
after that or it doesn't.
Right,
You know, just depends on what's going down that night, I guess. But
Yeah, we joked earlier. It's like, man, we're
good
fucked
analogy.
up that we target them right before they start fucking.
right.
Yeah,
like,
very much.
When are you most vulnerable?
Yes. That's the rut. Yeah,
Dude,
it is.
I've actually thought a
We
lot
didn't
about
make
that.
the rules.
We're the-
We didn't make the rules. We just follow the rules.
It's just
the-
it's the most fun time to hunt. It's the easiest time to hunt for a mature buck.
Do you hear what I said to Chad the other night? Like, from the deer's perspective, this is a fucking horror movie, dude.
Oh, right.
We're the monkeys. We're the monkeys that live in the valley. We sneak up onto the ridge lines every
Kill
morning
'em. Yeah.
to shoot spears through their hearts
Climb up trees.
and eat their flesh. Yeah, climb up trees and then shoot spears into their hearts and eat their flesh.
Or walk on the ground and just come upon one and do the same. Yeah, that's actually a pretty accurate assessment of what we're doing.
Dude, that's exactly what we're doing, man.
All in the name of conservation.
So your deer harvest, are you happy with the story that you've told? Is your story done, or do you have more to it? Because I'd like to add from my perspective where I was and what my
Yeah,
thought is on
say
your
everything.
story.
Before you do jump into that, Steve, I
right.
would just put a bow on the crossbow art, compound bow, recurve bow. That debate, we could get 100 people in a room and probably nobody would agree or come land on the same consensus. It's essentially, we need more hunters and huntresses. We need more people in our sport. So whatever weapon, fits people's fancy, that's great. We can all sit around and tease each other and, drink cocktails or whatever and rib each other. But as long as we're doing it as a community and progressing the sport forward and getting more young people like Zach and the next generation coming up. We talked about this last year when we sat down and did this. That's the main goal. We want to promote, getting anybody of all ages in the outdoors. And that is exactly.
Couldn't agree more.
I bet
honestly,
the percentage of young people that are into hunting is
small,
dropping dramatically.
I don't have the
would assume it
statistics.
is.
I would refer to the Ranella Meat Eater podcast. Those guys do a great job of kind of reporting what the numbers are, and they're a lot more on top of what those statistics are. But yes, it's not great. And so the more people we can get into it.
Because then when the apocalypse hits, everyone's going to fucking starve to death.
That's true.
And it's going to be that much easier for me to become a warlord.
Yeah.
And take everybody's food and women.
You can be carrying stuff down on your shoulders and hand them out to the people that need food.
Honestly, Chad, again, just to back up, I could not agree with you more. We do tease each other, right? Crossbow hunters, regular compound bow archers, but I could not agree more. That's what I was trying to kind of
drive
earlier. Like, man, any legal, ethical method to harvest a deer, man, more power to you. I love it. I've shot crossbow. I've never hunted with one, but I've target shot with them. They're amazing. The technology they have now is just out of this world. They're super accurate, super fast. But
I'll get a crossbow when I get an Apple Watch.
Call yourself
if
a
my
fucking bow
If
hunter.
my brother-in-law Jeff is listening, dude, it's crossbow hunting.
Good job, Jeff.
It's not bow hunting.
Get that buck.
It's just not bow hunting, but it's still hunting, and it's awesome. I love it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, now I want to hear your side of the story.
Man.
So that
Slobby,
was
not Slaby.
It was only our second day, so we all arrived here on Wednesday. The first hunt day was Thursday. So these boys, Greg and Zach got here. They flew in from Seattle, whatever 4-hour flight. Flew into Minneapolis, drove all the way down to here. It's about a 4-hour drive south. So we weren't going to hunt Wednesday night, but Chad and I were here before they were, and we were starting to think. We're looking at our watch and be like, God dang, them boys are going to be here by 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Squeeze one in.
Yeah, it doesn't get dark till
6:45,
6:30.
6:30. Okay.
So sure enough, they arrived around 4, and we just kind of said, hey, how you guys doing? Great to see you and everything. Grab your shit, let's go hunting tonight. And they were both like, we hadn't thought of that. Yeah, let's hunt tonight. So anyway, we all went, picked a stand. We all sat in our stands. We all saw deer. It was awesome. So the next day, which was the first official day of hunting, which was Thursday, technically. So Greg shoots his deer, which we didn't know yet, right? It was the evening of the second day, really the first day, Thursday. So Chad and I get back, and my brother was here. Scott was here.
Mm-hmm.
So we get back to the cabin, and those boys weren't down yet. And we don't get great cell reception here, so sometimes we don't get texts until a while after they've actually sent it. So we get back to the cabin, and I'm sitting on the porch. I sit down, I'm taking off my boots and my gear and everything. I look at my phone, and Greg sends a text, and it says something to the effect of, just had gotten out of my stand, a deer popped out, put an arrow through it. I'm going to wait like 15 minutes and then go look for blood. So Scott and Chad come up the valley. They get to the cabin. They hadn't seen the text yet either. So they're like, oh, what'd you see? How'd the night go? I said, dude, it sounds like fucking Greg Anderson, he shot a deer. They're like, what? Look at the text, and we're like, oh shit. You look at it and you're like, okay, put an arrow through one. Does that mean we're going to be tracking tonight? Did he hit it good? Did he hit it bad? Where'd the arrow hit? We're kind of all speculating. All of a sudden, we kind of see light coming down the hill road, coming down from the from the big hill. We're like, oh, it's Greg and Zach. Well, perfect. They're down here. We should probably go tracking. All of a sudden, we're like, Chad goes, what the hell? I think he's carrying a deer on his shoulders. Sure enough, we cruise up there. We got flashlights on him. Anderson's got a deer on his shoulders. He had just walked half mile. Probably, I would guess it's from here to there is probably half mile.
About 340 vertical feet
of elevation gain. Yeah, actually
loss.
Decrease on the way down.
It was still kind of wet. Dude, I told Zach, dude, it's going to be a miracle if I don't fall on my ass.
Yeah, right. The ground was wet, kind of muddy, slippery a little bit. The deer was not even gutted. wasn't field dressed, nothing yet.
Anderson
Anderson just
because I didn't know how to do that
picked
yet.
it up, threw it on his shoulders. He's like, I'm going to take this deer right back down to the cabin. He walks into the driveway. That dude's got a dead deer on his shoulders. We were like, all right, that was awesome. So that was from our perspective. That's how we heard that first story.
That is
of the
definitely a first and probably, well, maybe not last for you, but
hunt. First time I've
first
ever
and only
seen that.
with this crew. For sure.
Man, I really want to get a big animal tomorrow so I can carry it down from the ridgeline.
Dude, I want to see it.
I can try the Cam Hanes.
I don't know, dude. With
Mature
your
buck.
hamstring and your other medical ailment,
My hernia.
Your hernia. I'm a
Yeah,
little
dude.
concerned about
Mature
that.
buck on this property.
Okay.
I mean, dude, they can push 200 pounds.
220.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't carrying 220 pounds down.
Right.
Maybe a little ways.
We'll get it first.
I'll just
Maybe ride it down like a
so,
sled.
so if it's a 220 Cricket, make your mind up, dude.
Little black lab. She just loves being
If
pet.
He's a good boy.
Yeah.
what
She's a good boy.
if you
Oh,
got
she's
a
a good
mature
boy.
buck, then what would it weigh?
We're talking a 4.5-year-old, 5.5-year-old.
I don't fucking
Like
know.
a fully mature
Yeah, mature buck.
buck at this
Dude.
stage of the rut.
At least 185, if not
Average.
pushing 2.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying when you gut it.
Oh,
What's it
After
down
it's
to?
dressed, there's probably 30 pounds of.
yeah,
Okay,
Of-
so
yeah.
that's substantial. then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
All right, so I'll gut
A
the
field
buck.
dressed gutted 3.5-year-old is 175
160,
pounds.
170,
Yep.
yeah.
And then on up, it's you just scale it up. I'd
That'd be
say
like putting me on your
4.5-year-old's
shoulders.
190.
No, I'd probably go
Yeah.
about 170. That'd
Just
be like
dead weight.
carrying me around on your shoulders for.
What would be way cooler is if we just hoist it up in a tree up top and do all the
Just do
work
it all
and
work.
quarter
out
on
in the woods.
Yeah, right
just
up on
like
the hill
out
and
west,
pack it out.
Midwest, Western style.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll see what happens.
We're definitely getting an animal tomorrow.
Yes, for sure.
Last day of the hunt. We
It's
need one more.
Halloween tomorrow.
You told me last year,
Halloween.
too.
It was
All
all
the
the
way
way
on
good
the
up here.
ground.
Halloween's the best hunt day of the year.
It's pretty darn good every year. Halloween's pretty. It's. I mean, I think any bow hunter or crossbow hunter that was out there would agree that if you're in the woods on Halloween, it's a great day. I love my children. This is the first year they don't trick or treat. Oh, they haven't trick or treated in a long time, but that's why I'm able to be here this year on Halloween, because every Halloween I'm out trick or treating with the little munchkins, and it was awesome. But it's like, oh, it's Halloween. I want to be in the woods.
Yeah, but we've got commitments.
Yeah, my kids are
Piper Addison, I
my
love you,
kids are
but-
all sad.
Yeah. Daddy's out collecting. You're providing meat for the family.
Dude, fucking all the fucking Hallmark holidays are a little much for me,
Yeah.
if we're being honest.
I think you need to get more in touch with your Hallmark holiday side.
Bro, they like my kids want to put 40 gravestones in the front yard and ghosts and all this fucking synthetic spider web.
But dude, how cool would it be if you came out of one of the graves with a deer on your shoulders and blood all over your Sitka gear? That'd be the best Halloween.
Blood just dripping off your
Zach,
elbows.
you down with that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I can see it.
Greg, one thing you mentioned actually was that Siler was super excited for you to get a deer so that she could cook it up for you.
Yeah.
And do some meals for the family, and I thought that was pretty
is
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, 'cause Siler's 14 now. She'll be 15 before too long. And she's falling in love with cooking,
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's always been my tomboy too. Like if one of the girls wants to go fishing or shooting or stuff like that, it's always her. And so yeah, she texts me. It's like, bring home as much meat as you can.
There you go.
I'm learning venison recipes.
That
online,
is so friggin' cool, man.
It
That's
is.
awesome.
Man, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Man, it's weird
You
that
have to get
almost
that girl out here.
not every American, because there's some vegan pussies out there, but every American that is,
Oreos are vegan.
yeah, really healthy stuff. Everybody eats beef and that's normal,
Sure.
but a lot of people still think eating deer is weird.
Yeah.
And that's strange to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that a thing?
Yeah, it's
I
like,
don't
what the
even know how
fuck?
to-
What the
So
fuck are
many
you talking
people,
about?
I don't
dude.
even
So
know
many
comment.
people just do not think about where their food comes from. They just matter of factly just eat it. Like, well, I go to the grocery store and I buy a package of pork chops, and that's fine.
They
But
come from the
I
pork
can't
chop store.
imagine you people eating a deer.
But it's like, if you think
It's
about
so
it,
much better.
not only is the quality of meat and the nutrients and it's not full of hormones and antibiotics and all the bullshit,
Right.
but also from an ethical standpoint, you want to act like hunters are unethical. What is an animal's life? What should it entail? It should entail running around the woods until it's no longer alive.
Man, that's the way I've always looked at it. Too.
Right?
Like,
Not fucking
yeah.
stuck in this. And I'm not even hating on fucking big fucking mainstream cattle ranches or
farms,
whatever.
yeah.
Like, dude, they got to do what they got to do, right? But I'm saying on an individual level, if you have the capacity to choose where your meat comes from, some fucking gigantic fucking industrial operation where they're just living and breathing shit all day, or taking an animal out of a 100% natural environment and consuming it in literally the least tainted meat in existence.
Yeah, I think a lot of those people are looking at the death of the animal as opposed to the life of the animal. You know what I mean? Like they look at a hunter and they go, "Oh, I can't believe you shot a deer and killed it. It's the most beautiful animal ever." Like, yeah, but look at the comparison between the life that deer led and the life that a pig led that was going to end up being pork chops, in a farm. Well, that deer was born naturally. It lived naturally. It lived in the woods. It ate acorn and alfalfa and
ground nesting birds sometimes.
Sometimes I've seen that crazy
That's
stuff
why I
before.
told you that on Instagram.
And then, dude, I saw a video not too long ago, a white-tailed deer eating a snake, a grass snake.
So all you fuckers out there that are defending deer, they're murdering savages too.
They can be some awful animals too. But no, and then
we should start a club, the Ground Bird Protection Club
Agency.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so this deer
GBA,
this deer leads a great life, right? And then
GBPA.
you kill it, like just turn its lights out right now. Well, which is better? A pig that lived in a pen and ate shit for its whole life, and then they shot a bolt into its head or whatever, however they kill pigs.
And the people that ate shit, and the people that I wanted to have disappeared off of planet Earth.
Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, again, as a lifelong hunter, I just really see the value in eating venison and harvesting deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve-O, the whole I don't want to call it factory farming, I guess. I don't know what the term is, but I was thinking today, I was out hunting in the stand in the valley, and I was kind of covered up in deer, as you guys know. But I was up there, I was so excited to just shoot a doe. Like that was my goal this morning. If I get a doe that comes by, I'm really stoked to get the camp fired up again. You were already
thinking about butchering process.
Let's do the whole process over like with Greg's deer,
Well, and one thing I'll say is all week, you probably could have killed 10 deer this week.
Yeah,
if you want. You pass up a lot of deer.
Yes. Yep.
That was all I had to say. That was it.
I felt the judgment coming.
No.
Obviously, he was just stating facts.
But you live here, and this is your ranch.
Right.
You have
different dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have the ability to pick and choose a lot more. For me, again, tomorrow.
You guys get 5 days, Yeah,
I'm taking what I can get tomorrow.
And just have a good time and experience what it's like to harvest a deer, process a deer, which we did, which was so cool that you guys finally this year, we got to do the whole process of from the time that you shot it to carrying it down the hill to butchering it. We vacuum sealed everything in the cabin. That was awesome that we all got to do that together. It's frozen outside
right now.
Yes, sir.
Just to jump in there real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chad, again. But
bro, we're podcasting. Let's interrupt.
Yeah.
What did you think of some of that, Greg? Like when my brother Scott was kind of knelt down by you there, helping you gut it.
Well,
show
bro,
you
I don't know if you heard, but I pulled him aside before he left and thanked him.
Oh, okay.
For really imparting a lot of knowledge on me. And
that was actually pretty fun, I think, for he and I both. Like we were both knelt down on one side or the other of you. Again, we've been gutting deer since we've been 10 years old, so it's pretty second nature. But we were like, yeah, this dude's gonna learn new things, and it was cool to watch you do it.
For me, I can get very good at things after a lot of repetitions. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm a slow learner, but once I have it, I can be good at it, right? And that's the second time I've watched that. And so and again, a year between reps, for me, it's very easy I felt like fucking day one again because I've done it one other time. But the other time we did it was kind of in haste.
Yes.
And it was pissing rain.
Yep.
And it wasn't an environment that was conducive.
You and I and Zach almost got electrocuted by lightning.
Yeah. It wasn't a good environment that was conducive to learning,
No.
Because I'm a slow learner.
This year was perfect for that learning.
That's the pace that I needed.
Yeah.
Where it was, Scott was literally like, hey, you're going to do everything. I'm just going to talk you through it. And we'll point and show exactly what needs to happen, but allowing me to get the repetition.
And even when you and I skinned it, right? Same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like, what'd you think of some of that stuff? Like when I cut around the front leg and snapped it and then cut through it.
Dude, well,
Then
you know
we
what's more,
skinned it.
you know what was more
When I
fascinating than
grabbed the
taking?
front, when I grabbed the front shoulders,
You just- yeah.
with the knife and just cut them off. I
There's
was like,
a-
here's
yeah.
one of the legs, cut the other one off. Here's the other front quarter.
And dude, you know what's weird is like blood isn't something that bothers me. It's just not.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm still pulling guts out of a cavity that's the size of a human.
Yep.
I'm used to cleaning fish. That's about, you know what I mean? It's a very different experience. And I'll tell you what, it went from being this animal that was running through the field, and I didn't start to look at it like it was meat until you took the shoulder
Yeah,
off.
until after it was skinned.
And it was
started
kind of a
taking up
moment for me
quartering
where it was
yeah.
like, oh, this is literally meat.
Yeah, here's where the roast is going to come from.
And you
here's
know
where
what?
the steaks are going to come
It's
from.
to
Yeah.
you, it's been meat
Yeah, forever.
forever. You know what I mean? But like going through that process of it's running across the field and I nail it to now I have steaks vacuum sealed in the fucking freezer outside. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that's
you know?
cool. Yeah.
And again, bro, like
We almost lose sight of that, me and
I
Chad,
know.
because
I
we've
was
been doing
just-
this so long.
The word in my head right now is you and I are so desensitized
Maybe a little,
because
but
we started this
yeah,
process when
that's
we
or
were
just
like,
experienced.
neat.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
guess.
well,
Like
yeah,
you can't
but-
feel those emotions every time.
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But again, like what I said earlier, for me, the whole purpose is that's what I want to learn. I want to have that knowledge in the event I ever need to. And one thing you said, you're like, it doesn't matter if it's a cow, a sheep, an elk,
yeah,
a
they're all
moose.
built the same.
Like if you understand how to harvest a deer, and obviously there'll be some little differences here and there or whatever, but you understand the concept of how to harvest an animal.
yeah, and if you can gut it and skin it and quarter it and butcher it, they're pretty much all the same.
Yeah. And one thing you said earlier that was fascinating, you're like, dude, I know guys because you are a taxidermist by profession.
Yes, sir.
See that little segue?
Yeah.
But we're going to go into your doe story first.
no.
But one thing that you said to me is you're like, yeah, there's hunters that they pull the release, the arrow goes through the animal, and they literally drive the whole thing to
They
a butcher.
never touch it. Yeah.
And it's like, you know, if I had the money to do that, like, would I? I don't think so, because going through that process is part of honing that knowledge. You told me you told me when we were skinning that deer that you've skinned over 400 animals, was it?
Oh, I'm sure way more than that. Yeah.
And so, like, again, black belt level knowledge. If you want to get good at something, you're not going to get good at it taking it to the fucking butcher. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure. That's a
And
good point. I
and
think
bro,
if Chad and I, both of us, I think if we had the money to just drop your deer off at a place, we still wouldn't do it.
No.
Like, it's part of the fun. It's
No.
part of the camaraderie. It's part of the whole experience. And, you know, not just knowing how clean your meat is and how, you know, it smells good. There's no hair on it. We clean it up really good. We know exactly what we're putting in our packages in the freezer that we're going to eat for
Yeah.
a meal later. It's not the question of, well, you know, did we get back our own meat even, or did it get mixed in with other
Yeah.
guys' meat, or how clean was the table the guy was, you know, cutting up his meat on? You know, we take all that stuff pretty seriously.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But Chad, the reason I brought up that you've passed up 10 deer this week
Mm-hmm.
is because you're very particular, and when you decide to do it,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to do it.
Yes.
And today you made that decision.
Yes.
Continue.
Well, yeah. So I had a beautiful morning sit going on with you guys. I got Greg into a new set that I put up yesterday morning, and I walked back down to what we call our pond stand. It's in a big valley, and we've got kind of a water hole in there. And I literally put that stand up with the help of some local friends here. Jason Steele, shout out. And I was up in the tree and just deer kind of all over the place, you know, coming and going all throughout the morning. And the only two deer that came in that were within range were a doe and a smaller doe. And when I saw them bearing down on me, the angle that they were coming at me at, I'm like, they're coming in. They're going to be close. And I was like, you know, obviously everybody wants to shoot a big buck. I do too, but I was definitely on the hunt for a doe. And in my mind, I was like, I need to do this. I need to harvest a doe because I want to have some more meat for the camp and obviously for all of us to share, to leave on this trip. But I didn't trim a few branches in that set when I set it up a couple weeks ago because I was trying to run around and get some things done. and there were two little like it's a white oak that it's in. It's like a split white oak, and the deer were on my right hand side, and so this giant trunk had these two little cool when there were leaves on them. It looked like perfect, like real tree camouflage. Break up your silhouette in the sky.
You'll
So I
be
left them.
concealed, but you can't shoot deer through.
Right, exactly. Like I didn't know they were an inhibitor, and I'm looking at these things. I'm like, these deer are gonna walk right in line with this little limb here. I don't even call it a limb. What would you call it?
Yeah, just a little branch with
Twig.
branch,
leaves on
yeah,
it. Yeah.
twig branches. So what I decided to do, and this is bow hunting at its best. This was a 25, 30 yard open clear shot, nothing in front of the deer. They were right there. The only impediment was this little situation in front of me. And I said to myself, screw it. And I drew pointing towards, probably about a 90-degree angle away from the deer. So I came at full draw, moved my arm over, pushed my arm through the little branches.
Oh,
and,
it's that close.
dude, it's like right next to me.
Yep.
And so I had the pin on her, and I was ready to rock and roll, and I sent it, and I kind of laughed at myself a little bit before I shot because I'm like, I wonder what this is gonna sound like. And I heard a lot of different noises that you normally don't hear when you send an arrow out of a bow.
Yeah,
on a
like
string.
If
I
you're
think my
string
string
hitting a branch, maybe,
and
or some
my
leaves.
arrows and my quiver were like rattling on it.
Shoot.
The arrow was tracking sweet. Like I had a good follow through shot. I could see it. She's totally unaware that I'm there, and it's going. And all of a sudden, it just drops like right below her brisket. Perfect left to right. It would have been if it would have been about 7 or 8 inches higher. I misjudged the distance a little bit, but I think I caught a couple of deflections or something when my string hit that branch.
Yeah.
So the
I
arrow
would
might have lost
fully
energy.
blame that branch.
I would blame the operator, the hunter, me, and the guy who put the stand up
Also
just for
you.
being lazy
Yeah.
for not.
Whoops.
But when you miss a deer, right? The two things that you want to go through your mind as a hunter are, did I really miss clean or did I not? This doe, once the arrow flew underneath her, she didn't hear my bow. The deer usually hear the sound, the sound of the arrow, the hissing or the whizzing of the arrow, not the bow, when it's coming at them. So she heard that, and it went underneath her. Her fawn was behind her. The fawn took off. She bounded up the hill about, I don't know, probably about 30 yards, right where we tracked your buck last year.
Oh, yeah.
And she went up into there, and she stood there. So the first thing that I did is I knocked another arrow on my bow, and I hung it up, and then I got my binoculars because she was just standing there. And I wanted to make sure that I looked at her body with my binos to see if there was any blood or scarring or anything going on before she took off, just to see the behavior and how she reacted to the shot. And I just glassed her a little bit, and I could not see, I couldn't see anything. I didn't see any like red or cuts on her white brisket or on her shoulder. And then she snorted me and ran up the hill, like a 30-degree pitch. And I'm like, okay, she's
not hurt.
she's good to go.
Yeah.
And
I haven't been snorted yet.
yeah. So as I was sitting there laughing at myself, well, the first thing I did is I tore those things off the tree. And I was looking for my tree saw, and I couldn't find it in my pack.
Yeah.
I just ripped them off with my hand. I'm like, I'm
Done
an
with
idiot.
that little
I'm an
bit of
idiot. Yeah,
camouflage.
we don't need that camouflage, obviously. But then the thought entered into my head, I was bummed because I really wanted to harvest. There was a beautiful doe. I mean, she was just probably 2.5, 3.5-year-old deer, just really good body composition, really healthy looking animal. And it was like 30 yards or less, dude, is right there. I was like, it's not a chip shot, but I should be able to make that shot. And I'm like, dang, dude, I wanted to get this deer for the boys and for the camp and for the meat and everything. And I had this thought. I'm like, it was cold. I was shivering. And I'm like, what if I have to sit maybe how many more hours now to get another chance, to shoot a deer? Like, this is all what we're talking about with this podcast. The effort that you have to put into the tree or the time to really get that chance to get a shot and then execute that shot. And then I thought to myself, what if this was like my only source of protein, for me or my family or my friends?
What if this
500 years
exactly.
ago.
Yeah, I can't just drive up to Walmart and get a pair of $40 kick-ass boots and some steaks, Like, what if I really had to harvest this? Like,
But-
just
but
putting
to-
my
to feed
mind
your
in
family.
that.
But bro,
Yeah.
when we play the what if games, we always say, "What if it was 500 years ago?" Or "What if it's 10 years in the future?"
Right.
Because we could
be a thing,
be in a
too.
place where this becomes reality.
Right?
And bro, if you can't, like, the inner cities are going to just eat themselves.
Yes.
And it's going to be enjoyable to watch.
Sure.
But if you don't have some of these skill sets, you might be fucked.
Probably.
You know, and if the percentage of that ever being reality, I don't care if it's 1%.
Right.
You don't want to be the person that fucking can't perform, especially if you're a fucking man, leader of a family. Hey kids, guess what? Since I slacked off and the revolution is here, we're just going to
You're
start
going to be
to death.
hungry. Yeah.
You know,
I guess my mindset, I land on that every time, is I've thought about this more and more after listening to your podcast.
yeah, bro.
I would rather die trying, going out to know how to. I know how to do it. I would rather just die going to try to do it than just not being able to do it.
Yeah,
is kind of what my mindset is. You know,
dude. If you watch the any of those survival shows, do you ever watch Alone?
Oh,
seen
one
it
of
a
my
little bit,
favorite.
yeah.
Alone is one of
Love
my
it.
favorites.
Yeah, me too.
And one thing that I want to feel, and that, I mean, I won't feel it unless I starve myself for 3 weeks. But like, those people will go through substantial amounts of time with zero food. And then on day 14, they catch a trout that's this big, and they're bawling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just so
that
happy
much
for
gratitude.
for a 7-inch long.
You know,
fish.
because
Yeah.
it's like, well, I know someone else has some gratitude for
Finally get a
something
meal.
that's 7 inches.
GA.
Hey, when we're not recording, you got the best jokes in the room.
Man. So good thing we are recording.
Yeah. But no, but I mean, in all seriousness, I want to feel that kind of gratitude for a
Yeah.
fish.
Right.
Think about that, man.
Well, dude,
that's being connected to your food.
But you already have arrived at that with
Well,
going through this experience.
I've certainly moved the needle towards that direction for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But I don't think
Well, we've
we
been
can.
starving you here, at camp
Yeah,
every night.
yeah. So since we've got here,
Yeah.
we've had elk, we've had black bear,
Pronghorn.
pronghorn,
Fresh, never frozen venison.
fresh, never frozen venison.
chili.
Venison
And,
meatballs.
Dude, me and Zach were actually talking about that on the drive out here. One of our favorite aspects of deer camp is you guys are of the mindset in deer camp, we live on meat that we harvested as hunters.
Yeah.
What a cool, just a cool way to live while we're out here.
Yeah,
You
we
know?
did that last year too. We were
Yeah.
eating
Yeah, but
turkey
remember
that
we did that? You and I started that about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe
Oh, for
7.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like, let's quit bringing $200 worth of groceries to deer camp.
Grab stuff out of your
Yeah,
freezer.
let's bring some rice and
Yeah,
maybe some
God.
noodles or something. And then
Me and my brother Scott started that so many years ago. Like literally, one of us would shoot a deer and, gut it out, field dress it, and then take out the tenderloins, and then hike to where the other guy was sitting, and clean up the tenderloins, cut them up, cut up some mushrooms, fire up the one burner, little
best.
frying pan. We'd be sitting in the woods eating deer tenderloins and tips, mushrooms and onions that from a deer that was alive an hour ago.
Yeah, it's
Like,
cool,
dude.
man.
yeah.
So great. So yeah, my favorite part of this camp last year too, like literally the meals, cooking that food and just enjoying it with you guys. It's been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, you guys, because we've been bouncing the idea of like, you guys got to come out to Washington next. Just don't expect me to be the host that you guys are.
Nah, come on.
Because, dude, you guys,
We know you will
We'll
be.
come out and cook in your kitchen.
yeah, but you take a lot of pride in just preparing the meals and having the overall experience be deer camp.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking
And
cool, man.
We love you guys, but we do this for everybody. Like this, anybody who comes
Wait, this
here.
isn't VIP treatment for Greg and Zach?
Well, it is. Yeah, it is. But we try to replicate for everybody who comes to the Bighorn Lodge.
Yeah, you can enjoy it or not.
Yeah.
Like those burgers I made tonight. I was like, all right, I've really never enjoyed bear meat personally all that much, but
There's someone somewhere listening to this saying, bear meat's the best fucking meat in
it's
the
the best
world.
thing ever. What are you talking about?
Guy doesn't
And-
know what the fuck he's talking
yeah.
about.
However, to support that, those burgers tonight from that bear,
We're delicious.
they were
They were
terrific.
very good.
And that was like no seasoning at all. It was literally bear grind and a little bit of salt and pepper and super thin, grilled hot and fast. And those burgers were terrific.
I don't know if how people are going to take this, good or bad.
All right.
But when I was a little kid, my mom used to take me to McDonald's. I know, disgusting. McDonald's hamburgers will always be nostalgic for me. And I haven't eaten one.
Sure.
I haven't eaten one in fucking 15 years or something. That bear burger,
Way better.
it gave me a little it gave me a little nostalgia.
Really?
I was like, man, this kind of
Brought you back to
this
the
is
McDonald's
and maybe it was
burgers
because
days.
there's just you even fucking hit the top of it when you were done making it. Slap the
Oh,
top
hell
of the
yeah.
burger, right?
Yep.
So it even had that little crushed McDonald's feel, little squirt of mustard, little squirt of ketchup. It's fuck
The
yeah,
only
dude.
difference is you didn't have to run out to the outhouse 20 minutes after you ate it and
Shit my
expel it
brains
out
out.
of your colon.
No. That's only if I eat their quarter pounder.
I'm
the
glad
quarter
I
pounder.
could,
It's
glad
the
I could bring
sauce.
back some nostalgia.
You know what's
for
crazy is
Yeah.
I used to, like, as a kid, I remember it's like I'd eat a quarter pounder and have diarrhea in like an hour.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
So why would I ever do that again? I did it. I did
don't know.
it plenty.
Looks good on the sign.
And yeah.
Like, how come my burger doesn't look like it did on the drive-through sign? That doesn't make
Because
any
that burger in the drive-through sign was made of wax,
sense. True.
and specialists painting it and making it look all fuck. Our whole lives are propaganda. Even the fucking hamburgers that we're buying, dude.
Exactly.
Well, Steve, I want to talk about that deer on the wall right
Yeah,
behind
buddy.
you. And since we're not doing video on
That
this,
is the buck that you guys harvested
That's
last
right,
year.
dude.
This weekend, or the week before, but yeah, last year, 1 year ago.
and then you mounted it
I did.
for Zach, and it's pretty fucking cool. And I know we've talked a lot about taxidermy over this trip because that's what you do
Yep.
professionally. But I think it's something that probably most human beings just have no idea.
don't know a whole lot
Don't know a
about.
whole lot about it.
Right? Yeah, it's such an interesting.
How did you get into it?
How much time you got in that disc yet?
We got half an hour at least.
I'm going to credit my wife a ton with getting into it, honestly.
Well, why should
Lisa. So I grew up, like we've already talked about, hunting and fishing, and my dad had us out. We were just little kids, and he was a big hunter, fisherman. He loved to squirrel hunt and hunt for rabbits and grouse and deer, and we'd go fishing, ice fishing, all this stuff. So always grew up in the outdoors.
and
right?
little beavers?
So I grew up.
Trapping them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, I love little beaver. So
Can you stuff a beaver?
that's my favorite thing to mount, Chad.
Dude, man,
Been doing
Slaby's
taxidermy
all-
so many years, and it's like, man, love that little.
We can just
beaver.
refer to the Naked Gun quote. That's like the best beaver
Nice
joke ever.
beaver.
Yeah. Thanks. Just had it stuffed.
Yeah. So I just sort of grew up, with the whole nature hunting thing. Skinned a lot of animals, So fast forward till I was probably 20-ish years old. I had met my wife Lisa. We were super young. We were like 18. So she knew I was big into the outdoors and hunting and all this wonderful stuff. So went to college after high school in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Worked in an upholstery shop of all places. Kind of worked myself through college, part-time job, and never thought it would lead to anything. We're literally just sewing, upholstery on furniture, sewing drapes, making curtains for the dorms, all this stuff. So, got a little older and harvested, a nice buck, took it to a taxidermist and had to pay a bunch of money to get it head mounted. A couple of years later, shot another nice buck, take that to the taxidermist. God dang, that's expensive, but yep, going to get that mounted. So my wife says to me, that's something you should maybe try. Like,
Dude,
you know how to skin really well. Like
I
right-
laugh just because that doesn't seem like that's something you just try.
dude. Well, so based on my experiences, though.
Well, we tried jujitsu with you the other night.
Yeah, we did.
See how that worked out.
That's another story. We'll talk about that here in a minute. I swear to God, we'll bring this back
quarter
up.
speed jiu-jitsu.
Oh, dude, that's a good story right there. So my wife Lisa was like, "Well, it seems like that's something you might be good at. Like,
You can sew.
You're really good at skinning animals, and you learned how to sew working at the upholstery shop for those years. You're good at sewing. You worked in a cabinet shop. You do woodworking, and you're really meticulous. Like you're kind of a perfectionist. You should try that." I'm like, oh, yeah, I should. So, bought all the books and how to, do the mounting, got online, did a lot of research, and by gosh, I did a deer head. And I was so proud of it. Like, man, this is wonderful.
Do you still
it's
have?
awesome.
Do you still have your first
I
one?
took that thing apart and threw it in a dumpster 25 years ago.
Shame on you,
Oh, dude, it was so bad. It was so bad.
And that's what makes it awesome.
I probably should have kept that one just for reference.
Yeah.
So that was, oh my gosh.
What did you fill? Did you fill the head with sawdust?
Yeah, exactly. No, we'll talk about that in a second too. So no, I mean, geez, Lisa and I have been married. We've been happily married 20 years. Holy shit. Been married 28, but yeah. we've been happily married 20 years.
I like that.
Thanks. So I've got like 25 years of experience now doing taxidermy. So, fast forward till now, what it takes is about 20 years of experience studying muscle composition, structure, where the muscles are, where the different hair patterns need to lay, how everything is shaped, right? Like looking at a real deer, a live deer, where the ear butt muscles are, where the ears lay, where the lacrimal crease is in relation to the wings on the nose, like literally just all the anatomy, all the structure of a deer head that, like a lot of guys will see a crappy old deer mount in a bar, right, in an old tavern, and be like, that thing looks like shit. But they don't know why. Well, because nothing is correct. Like the eyes are round, like right, they're not shaped correctly. The nose is painted black. The ears are kind of down on the neck. So all these things, like taxidermy, is so much sculpting and artistry and getting things correct where they're supposed to be. And that's the thing you learn over the years, which I've done. So a couple of years, actually last year, I finally decided, man, I've been doing this part-time for 23 years. I think I'm busy enough to try to go full-time. Like every year I'll take in 20, 30, 40 deer heads and working full-time at a regular job. And it's too much. And it's like, holy man, that's a lot of work. Work Monday through Friday at the regular job and then work, every evening and every weekend. And so finally I thought, well, I'll suck it up and try to go full time. So this year, just 2023 was my first ever time going full time for taxidermy.
Fuck yeah. That's
it's
cool,
busy,
man. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And I'm serious because
something.
I love seeing people make their passion be something that they can actually make their livelihood too.
Yeah. It's hard to describe, but I love it. I mean, I truly, I think it's because of the way I was raised and, just grew up around the whole hunting community and hunting. And to me, every single deer, and if my wife listens to this, she will laugh at this. She thinks every single deer looks the same. For me, every single deer is different. Like everyone is unique. Everyone has unique characteristics. And, I tried to very much replicate what it was when it was alive, when it was, that deer. So anyway,
no,
it's a passion. It's a true passion.
I enjoyed seeing one of your customers stop by today.
Oh yeah.
Because I got to I sat right where Chad was sitting, and he pulls out a taxidermy. What would you call that? A fucking catalog.
Yeah.
That's this
one
thick.
of the manufacturers.
Have you seen
catalogs.
that yet, Zach?
Oh yeah, last weekend when I took my cat to my taxi.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, we were just doing that today on his bobcat.
And so,
I had a customer that got a bobcat,
so
and he shot a whitetail too. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no. It's a thick catalog, and you go to the bobcat section because that's what this guy was here to mount, and there's all these different things you can get. Have them perched on a rock,
different poses,
or a branch, and like all these different poses, and all these different expressions, and it's like, oh, this is pretty fascinating. How much detail goes into it?
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
And what's funny is you referenced how hard doing bobcats are.
He actually did.
Or he did,
Like, like he had maybe spoken to other folks at a different taxidermist, and they said, man, doing bobcats is hard.
And then you kind of like agreed, like, yeah, it's a hard, it is. It's a difficult mount. And then he's like, but you can do it, right?
Yeah, right.
And you're like, your bobcat's gonna look great.
Yeah.
But if it's a hard mount, you can do it, right? And I was like,
well, but in all fairness, I mean, he said he saw some pretty crappy bobcat mounts, which I have too. Because they're if you don't know what you're doing, they can end up looking like a scraggly house cat.
But what I thought was interesting is man, you go to that catalog and you pick out the form of the animal, and it comes with what, like you said, a plastic mold or whatever.
Yeah, it's like styrofoam.
Styrofoam.
Yeah, injected into a mold, yeah.
And then that's what dictates, like, if it's ready to pounce or if it's walking or whatever.
Sure.
And then you pull the skin around that.
Yep. Yeah, so you take the skin, get it prepared to send to the tannery, right? The tannery tans it.
What does tanning entail?
Yeah, the tanning process, from my understanding, I've never worked at a tannery, but they actually change the chemical composition of the skin. So when I send it to them, I send it to them completely dried, like salt dried. So the skin gets salted and it sucks out all the moisture out of every cell of the skin.
Mm-hmm.
When they rehydrate that salt dried skin. And I mean, it's as hard as a sheet of plywood. I mean, it's just hard, like cardboard. They rehydrate it with different acids and things that when it rehydrates into the cells of the skin, it actually changes the chemical composition of the skin to be leather. So kind of like
it
leather
preserves
gloves.
it and then gives it like
so
so
the skin side is like leather gloves, and the hair side is all the hair has been locked in, kind of forever.
Okay.
So so it's tanned, and that's the skin that I work with to put on the styrofoam mold. So a lot of people don't realize. I mean, there's no. I've had people
Tanning booth.
Oh God, dude! I've had people ask me before, like on a deer head, like on a shoulder mount, like, well, that looks really neat, but how did you get all the blood out of it? Like, what do you do? How do you?
Is the brain still in there?
Exactly right. Like, what does the skull and the brain look like? Dude, no, it's you skin the thing off, and it's just the tanned skin goes over a styrofoam mold. And
we laugh, but if you'd asked me that,
most people wouldn't know.
a couple years ago, I don't know if I'd know.
Right? How would you know?
I got a couple funny taxidermy stories for you.
All right.
Well, my dad, I think I was 5, and my dad, he was a commercial fisherman and a bird hunter, but he was never a big game hunter. But I don't even know where he got it. He brought home a moose head.
Dang, cool.
And just hung it right in the living room.
That's awesome.
And I remember the first time we walked, and a 5-year-old kid, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, scared me, And he goes, go outside. The body's on the other side of the wall.
Yeah,
so I go
the head is
run
in
and
here.
go,
The
the
body's
body's out there. No body.
Classic, of course.
A moose with no body? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
How is that head coming through the wall?
So the next morning,
I like it.
My dad's like, he called me bro. Like, bro, get out here. And he's like, what did you do in the kitchen last night? And he was like mad at me, right? And I'm like, do you guys remember those Costco bags you could get of suckers? They had like you'd unwrap the sucker, and if you got the one with the Indian with the star on it.
Oh, yeah.
You remember those?
Yes.
Remember those suckers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, they probably can't sell those anymore.
Did you get like a free pack?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Indian with the star, that was the fucking winning wrapper.
Yeah.
You can't say that anymore.
Right.
But anyways, so we bought like an economy size bag of those.
Indigenous person with a bow.
Yeah. And the bag was just ripped open, and there were suckers thrown everywhere around the kitchen.
Whoa.
And he's like, did you make this mess? I'm like, I didn't make a mess. He goes, I already talked to your sister. She didn't make it. Me and your mom certainly didn't make it. So are you lying to me? Like, he was pissed. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I didn't throw these suckers all over the place. I don't know what you mean, Dad. He goes, well, now I think you're lying to me. Clean up this mess. And he walked out. And I was just like, fuck, dude. This is the emotional abuse I dealt with growing up. I clean up the kitchen. I walk out of the kitchen. I look in the living room. The moose had a sucker in its mouth.
Damn.
And I was like, you motherfucker.
That moose.
So, dude, yeah, I was afraid of that moose for a long time because I thought it came alive at night and wreaked fucking havoc.
Rich story.
And you know where the moose is now? In his garage.
Oh, Zach's place.
Yeah, because when he had it out in his shop, and then when my dad passed, the boys, we were out there looking at his stuff before my mom sold the house, and he's like, Zach drawn to animals.
Oh, yeah.
You told me. You said,
bro,
take
that's
whatever
yours,
you
man.
want,
Take whatever you want. I want the moose mount.
That's cool.
Although now his mom's trying to snatch it from him.
I know.
It ain't going down. It ain't going down like
no,
that.
I'm getting that thing back. I actually 2 days I'm getting that thing back. She's still got it right now, but
What
not
does your
for
mom
long.
want to do with the moose?
That's
Put it
what
up-
I'm trying to
dude.
figure
Just
out.
hanging
It's
out
like,
in the
dude,
It's
house?
actually, when I say it's his garage, it's in his mom's garage.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I
She
just
said-
moved out 6 months ago.
She said the other day, she's like, I want to keep the moose. I said, well, it's Zach's moose.
This is Zach's.
The fuck you want a moose for over your fucking car in the garage? But she does,
awesome.
dude. No, that's awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting field for sure.
You know, one thing that
Can I just quick say something on
you can say
Slaby's
whatever the fuck
taxidermy?
you want.
So, well, that's nobody's ever told me that before.
You typically do anyway.
I'm spoiled because I have like I don't even know how to describe it. I Steve and I have been friends since, post college and young 20s. This dude comes over here and hunts with me, and any deer that Andy or I have killed here, he's here. He takes it right here from here back to his shop, brings it back and delivers it in the spring. And Steve's work, I mean, I'm biased because we're bros, but his work is bar none the best taxidermy in the state of Wisconsin, without a doubt.
Wow.
And these mounts in here are, I mean, we're very honored and proud to display his work because he has recreated all the memories that we've made with these hunts with our family and our friends, and they're, adorned in our cabin for everybody to enjoy. But dude, your work is legit.
Well,
And
Couple
it's
of-
like a la carte for a
Couple-
guy like me to have a friend like you. I don't really have to do
appreciate it,
anything.
brother.
And we do it together, which
Appreciate it,
is
yeah.
fun.
I mean,
So,
you only had to build this whole ranch.
well, my cousin did.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So a
But
couple
yes,
of things
yeah.
to your comments. You think I'm good taxidermy? You probably don't know a lot of taxidermy. Just
Actually, I do.
And secondly, no, dude, literally that's what it's all about for me. It's preserving the memories. Like, yeah, trophy deer is great. Like, great big, huge, giant buck. Good for you. We'll mount it and put it in your house. But to mount even just a, whatever, an 8-pointer, an average size
doe.
10-pointer. Yeah.
Or
whatever.
like our buck
Literally, I've
that has
mounted does.
our buck that has a story behind it.
Yeah, dude. The scar on the face, the scar on the nose. Looking at the mounts that I'm looking at right now, to me, each one of these, and yeah, my company's name, my business name is Steve's Trophy Taxidermy, and I picked that for a couple of reasons. I'm Steve.
You
Anyway,
tú eres Esteban?
Yeah, Mamo Esteban. Esteban's trophies, taxidermies. Trophy, because to me, a trophy means, maybe to some people it means the biggest, most giant state record thing ever. But a trophy to me is like the memory of the hunt. You look at one of these deer, actually in this cabin in particular, Chad, I look at almost any one of these. That mount of that deer brings back the memory of who we were with,
Absolutely.
when we shot it, kind of what the weather was like,
Yeah.
what the tracking was like, if we had to trail it or if it was just dead right there. Just the whole experience of the thing. Like, to me, a trophy, every mount is like, yeah, dude, if you shoot something cool, if you're a big hunter, get it mounted. It's a piece of unique art that, it's yours. It's unique. It has all the nostalgia, the memories, all that. It's just irreplaceable.
Is DRT a phrase with hunters too?
Yeah,
DRT.
I'm not familiar with
Don't
it.
know.
Oh, you just said it dead right there.
Oh, DRT, we're dead right there.
He was DRT.
He was dead
Yeah.
right there.
Okay.
Dead right
I guess
there.
I hadn't thought of that, but some of these were. Yeah, as I look around the cabin, like Andy Gill's buck,
Was
that
DRT.
thing was
Yeah,
dead right
yeah.
there. He hammered that thing.
We might have to start incorporating that into the.
Then some of them, as we
vernacular
look
around here.
around, there was a little bit of story to the tracking.
Yeah.
and, stuff. But yeah,
And then you had some wacko want you to mount her cat.
mount her cat. Man, yeah, Greg and I were talking about that tonight. I don't know if you heard that story,
cat?
Chad. Yeah,
I
I've
have
had that
not.
request
No.
twice since
Well,
I've been doing taxidermy.
Like her cat, like her
House
own cat.
Oh yeah, her pet cat.
Holy shit!
All right.
No, dude, tell the story. She's like, my cat
Yeah.
died. I
Yeah,
threw him
like-
in the freezer.
Yeah, literally, lady.
It's already
called
getting
me.
weird.
Yep. She's like, I heard you do taxidermy. I'm like, yep.
What else does she have in the freezer?
She's like, well, I had this cat for like 20 years and we loved her a lot. She was
Buttons
great.
died.
Yes, Buttons, unfortunately. And
Cat's
she's
name
like,
was Button.
she's like, I have her in a bag in my freezer. Would you do taxidermy and mount that cat for me? And I was like, no. And she
Is
was
that
like,
even legal?
I think so. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
think there's
okay.
any restrictions on skinning and mounting a cat. And maybe I've never checked into it, but she was like, "Why wouldn't you do our pet cat?" I said, "Well, because like when I mount a deer head, like it looks like a deer. Right? Chad?
Yeah.
They look like a deer.
They look like deer
Dude,
to me.
yeah, I mean the ears are in the right spot and everything's sculpted correctly and it looks great. But like a cat that had a name that lived in your house for 20 years, it had a personality too. Like I'm looking at your little black lab Cricket right now. Cricket is the sweetest, cutest little black lab you've ever seen. If we mounted your dog, it would just look like a black lab.
Right.
You can't replicate the expression that they have and their little ear position and their cute little eyes, the way they look at you. You can't replicate a pet animal, but
It brings a whole new twist to
But-
the whole pet cemetery
but
thing.
we
it kind of
are.
does. It's kind of a weird thing to
Yeah.
But
talk
he
about.
is willing to make an exception for deer camp
Yeah.
because I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but Cricket's 14,
Yeah. 12.
14 in dog years.
Okay. Perfect.
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't math.
I think the math is
I
correct.
can't math very well.
No, I think that's right.
But when the unfortunate time comes,
Yes.
I said, Slaby,
I think you were outside
said,
for this, or
would
you were in the
make-
stand.
Would you make an
I think I
exception?
need to stop leaving you two alone. is what it sounds
I said, would you make an exception to your no pets rule for Cricket here?
Yeah.
And he goes, you know what? I think we
We
could for
could
Cricket.
modify. We could alter a
He goes, I
coyote
think I'd have to
form.
get a coyote or maybe a small wolf.
Yeah, we could modify it.
And then
to
he goes, I'm
fit her
sure
dimensions.
I'm going to have to extend it a little bit.
Well, you get
Because you're
those-
like,
shit, dude.
well, bro, and this is where like you just started talking, but really letting me know like how much more in depth taxidermy is. You're like, well, what we'd have to do is skin Cricket. We'll wait for her to die first.
Right.
And I was like, oh,
she
so,
was looking at me like, "What the hell, Slaby?"
still here.
so I was like,
I
so
was
we're
like,
not.
"No, I mean, just theoretically.
So we're
Right,
not
right,
going to
right.
skin her alive. We're all clear on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay. And then you're like, then I'd have to measure nose to tail on her,
Yeah.
nose to tail on the
Some
mount.
circumference measurements.
Yeah, and then we'd have to.
alter the form to fit her skin. Yeah, that's how you do it, Chad.
Like she woke up right now. And
I know
this
she's like,
conversation.
she's literally looking at
Yeah.
us like, "What?
We
what,
could do.
what?"
Well, they sell those like stuffed animal dogs that are like laying in the bed that their little belly breathing thing
Yeah.
that's all creepy and stuff. So I mean, what
Yeah.
the hell? What
Similar.
would a taxidermy? We just do a
What
cricket
pos-
in the bed.
What position would you want her in?
I think like the sleeping in the bed thing.
Yeah,
You know
maybe?
what
I
I'd
don't
want
know.
her-
Bet it up.
I'd
look all
want
cute.
her. I'd want her pushing the door open,
There you go.
but
Yeah.
never shutting it.
The funny thing about this dog is that she's actually the best field hunting dog that I've ever had in my life. Pheasants, ducks, geese. She's quite accomplished in her titles in the field trial game. She's not
She's
a field
legit,
champion,
huh?
but you'd never guess it that she's got the motor to go. But when you get the guns out, and
Would
start
she still
shooting
get
it-
after it right now?
Yeah, she's got.
'Cause she's having a hard time walking.
arthritic
Yeah.
hip. Yeah, right now she's a little up there in her senior years. But I mean, she still will. She would, yes, but it would pain her for.
You know what I
Hours
love?
and
You know what I
days
love
after.
about dogs though? They don't give a fuck if it pains her.
No,
No.
You
No.
know, like when my Malinois lived to 14. And like the last, you remember when his leg stopped working, Zach?
Yeah, I do.
And-
That was tough.
And Havoc just lived on 3 legs.
oh, yeah.
But
Love
you could
that
just
name, by
tell.
the way, Havoc.
You
That's
could
a
just
great
tell
name.
he didn't give a fuck. Oh, you know what? I had 4 legs yesterday, and now I have 3. Cool.
Whatever. He's just doing it.
Let's do life. I was like, man, animals just have no pity.
No, and Havoc would probably operate or do whatever he was bred to do until he just died.
He was bred to fucking rip people apart.
This dog right here, this dog would Cricket and a lot of dogs like her that are hunting field dogs. If you did not regulate their activity level, they would hunt themselves to
She
death
would do it till she died.
because their
Yeah.
prey drive, just like Havoc's
Yeah.
prey drive or bite drive,
Yeah.
that's what they have in them is to do what they were bred to do. And they're all pretty special critters, man. They're awesome companions, and she's a great deer.
Cricket's
She-
been awesome. What
She
what a
always
great
looks at
little
me
dog.
like she's pissed that this is a deer camp and not like a duck hunting
Right.
camp. She's like, "Why did I get you for
Dude,
an
even,
owner?"
Even rifled, deer
Yeah,
season.
she hears the shooting.
She will look at the guns and be like, "Okay, is it on? Is it on? Is
Yeah,
it my turn?"
yeah, we're gonna go duck
Then
hunting.
she's like, "Oh, you got bolt actions. What are you guys
Yeah,
doing?
what the heck's
need
wrong with you
pumps and
guys?"
semi-autos and shit."
Big boots and bolt actions and
Dude.
blaze orange. What are you doing?
Nicest, most mellow, sweetest little lab ever. But I've seen you do field trial stuff out here in front of the cabin with her. Man, she's just well behaved.
Yeah, she can bring it.
Just runs like a rocket. She's such a great little dog.
It's fucking rad.
What are the aspects of the week that you recall, Zach and Greg, about being here this year too?
Say this,
yeah,
but we only got a couple minutes left already.
Dang.
So what was your favorite?
Shit.
What was your favorite part of the weekend so far? Just in a nutshell.
My favorite part was literally going through the process.
Okay.
From releasing the arrow
Yep.
to stakes in the ice chest. And just understanding.
Gutting, skinning, quartering, deboning, butchering,
that's what
vacuum
you
sealing.
That's the stuff you got to know.
Yeah, buddy. Yep. And the meals.
That was what
the meals were phenomenal.
Yeah. Put a little plug in for me and Chad DePauw.
Oh, yeah. We're good camp cooks.
We cooked some pretty good meals.
Cookies.
Yeah.
We only do that for certain individuals.
Just special guys, yeah.
Well, I mean, dude, this was 2 years now in the making, going on 2.5 since the time we met.
Yeah.
And you said to me this week, you said you were one of those guys that I didn't, people say all the time, like, yeah, man, come out and hunt, and do they mean it, right? Do they actually follow through and follow up? But no, this is year 2.
Yeah.
And we had a great time last year. And it's awesome that Steve was able to, spend some more time with us as well with you two guys this week again.
Well, Steve,
us 4 as a camp.
Yeah,
this is the camp from now on.
For sure.
Nice.
Every year we come out. If you're not here, I'm going to be offended.
It's a good crew.
Yeah. Greg's fallen hard for you.
I have.
I haven't known him that long, but I feel like he doesn't fall that hard for
no
anybody.
homo, but it's a thing.
Right. Plutonic.
Maybe a little homo.
Right.
I was going to say, let's talk about Steve's Trophy Taxidermy LLC. Just kidding. Let's not, dude. I don't need the advertising. It's
in all
already crazy
seriousness,
busy.
like I do with all the guests, I'll put that link in the show notes below.
Okay, yeah.
And if people are interested in fucking reaching out or having you do some work, like, be easy to contact you.
Cool.
Absolutely. I think that's important. And like, you know your worth, but you put out a quality product, and it's a good value exchange, and it's fucking rad, man.
Yeah.
I like seeing that.
I just wanted to say one last thing too, Greg. Like, dude, I haven't seen you in a year, right? It's great to see you. Great to hang out with you. You look fit. You look trim. I feel like, dude, you must be taking your Ozempic. Like, fuck, you look
lots
good,
of Ozempic, lots of Ozempic, lots of testosterone. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.